Hello and welcome to episode 154 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we obtain Tier 8 Spacetime Field Gens, build a second Eye of Harmony and set up passive automation for it, and investigate Infinity Armor and Chaotic Fusion casings for the Draconic Evolution Fusion Crafter. Well, I finally got around to it. I have made 3 more Naquata fuel refineries. Turns out I was also using a few outdated recipes. For example, for Mark V, I was still using this Infinity recipe, but I've now switched it to this Melion Creon Transcendent Metal recipe, which is 4 times faster and gives you more per Mark IV fuel. I also switched to this bottom recipe, the one that uses Celestial Tungsten for Mark VI. It also uses Stellar Plasma Mixture, which is a bit risky because if I run out, then I'm going to run out of fuel. But I think it should be fine. That said, this is also 4 times faster, and you get more Mark VI per Mark V. All in all, this should be much faster Mark VI fuel generation. I've also updated these storage monitors. I know they're kind of not really needed, but I like them. They're cute, so I have them. The high density uranium and plutonium are pretty slow to make, so I think I need to make more electric implosion compressors. Now, everything has also been subnetted more properly, and I think the new bottleneck is I'm not going to be able to burn the fuel fast enough. Which is a nice bottleneck to have, because solving it is going to give me more power. Let's also take a quick look at Godforge progression. It's about the same as it was before. Again, charge should be easy to finish off. In fact, how much power do I have? 99 quintillion? I should be able to just burn a little bit. Let's do it. Let's just get this done with. Well, I say that, but even if I get my Graviton shards, I won't be able to buy the next upgrade because I still need to make some Black Dwarf Matter frame boxes and some Mega Ultimate batteries. Hopefully, by getting these Mega Ultimate batteries done, I will also finish a Godforge milestone or 2. That would be pretty nice. But I kind of doubt it. Anyway, I'm going to craft these items up first, and if I still don't have a milestone complete, then I'll just dump a ton of power all at once. As far as Eye of Harmony progression goes, I am currently working on making a couple of different things. So, first of all, I'm really feeling the low success rate for Universium here, so I think I kind of want to upgrade these stabilization field gens to tier 7. That'll increase the success chance by 10% additively, so I'm going to go from like 30% success to 40% success or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it is an improvement, and I could really use that right now. Besides that, for the Tippler Spacetime Compression field gens, these are kind of nearly done, I guess. I just need Universium. That's literally it. That's all I need. And then I can make these MHD-CSM bolts, and then I can make the Tippler field gens. So yeah, it's purely just me waiting for the Eye of Harmony to finish making Universium. It's pretty painful. A little bit of a wait later, I got my Tippler Spacetime field gens. This is the tier 8 Spacetime Compression field gen. And I'm currently scanning the extra one that I made to make the Gallifreyan ones. And these are the tier 9 Spacetime field gens, the final tier. Now with the tier 8 field gens, I will now be making 8 times as much Universium. Sorry, 4 times as much Universium per craft. And this, while also accounting for things like success chance and stuff, results in a little more than twice as much Universium per second. That's pretty good. I still haven't upgraded my stabilization gens, so I'm going to do that as well. And I'm also going to make an extra set of stabilization field gens at tier 7, and another set of tier 7 time dilation field gens. So at the end of this, I'm going to have enough stuff to make a second Eye of Harmony, and that one I'm going to dedicate to making probably White Dwarf Matter, because that is also the fastest stellar plasma per second. So once I have that, I don't have to think about stellar plasma ever again, which would be nice. And then this one will be my kind of the one that I swap out every now and then based on what I need until I have enough stuff to make a third Eye of Harmony. And then each of the 3 will be dedicated to a different type of Eye of Harmony product. But I will not be making any tier 8 stabilization or time dilation field gens because I feel like that's pointless because I can just make the Gallifreyan ones, the tier 9 ones, and those are just better. So, well, for now, let's swap these ones out for tier 8 so that when I do need Universium, which I need basically right now, I can get it twice as fast. Now, one thing that's been surprisingly problematic lately has been Xenon. pumping it is pretty slow because I only have a couple of Mark II pumps working on Xenon, and the amount that is pumped is quite small. I can't even find it. Is it this? Yeah. So each Mark II pump does 256 liters per second of Xenon, and I think I only have 2 of them going. So that's not a lot. That's not enough. Instead, I've made myself a Mark III pump. Let's compare, right? So the Mark II pumping module runs at UEV with 4 parallels per recipe and does up to 4 recipes at once. The Mark III runs at UXV with 64 parallels per recipe and also does only up to 4 recipes at once. But this is going to be 16 times faster just from the parallels, and then I think multiplied by 8 times faster for the overclocks from using UXV power. So all in all, that is going to be 128 times faster. That's kind of crazy. Imagine what I would have to do to match that. I'd have to make 128 of these, or just one of these. That's pretty funny. The hardest part about making this, at least in theory, was the eternity. But I'm pretty much drowning in eternity right now. This is not very hard to make. Besides that, it also needs white and black dwarf matter. And yeah, I'm up to 28 million eternity right now. I would have a lot more if I had a super stable source of stellar plasma. And I will pretty soon once I make the second Eye of Harmony. But yeah, Xenon should hopefully be solved for a good while with this Mark III pumping module. Something else that's important that actually makes a surprisingly big difference. I have unlocked the 2 best fluids for the Antimatter forge. I'm not going to use the MHD CSM just yet because it's a bit too expensive and I can't really make it like fast enough to just have this going all the time. But I think I can make Eternity fast enough, and Eternity is the replacement for spatially enlarged fluid here, right? And so it decreases the active cost exponent by another 0.05. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you're changing the exponent, so it's actually a massive difference. And in fact, switching from spatially enlarged fluid to molten Eternity is going to more than double the amount of antimatter generated per cycle. And it's going to more than double my power output. That's pretty crazy. So previously I was making about 44.5 trillion EU per tick per SAS. And once I swap this out for Eternity, I'm going to be making 106 trillion EU per tick per SAS. It's pretty good. That's a lot. And that'll allow me to much more easily run my next 2 Eyes of Harmony once they're done being set up. This does mean I need to change some stuff here. I'm going to have to change the rate at which antimatter is pulled out of this excess hatch. I'm also going to need to change the amount of antimatter that goes into these hatches. It actually goes up quite a bit. The old ideal amount, like the total amount in all the hatches combined previously, was about 3.6 million liters of antimatter, and now it's about 17.4 million liters of antimatter. I hope that these acceleration cards can keep up with that. I think it can, because when I was using this antimatter forge incorrectly in the past, I think I had like 11 or, well, I think it was 12 million in circulation, and I think it was fine. So 17 hopefully is also fine. If not, I'm just going to have to increase the timer here, and that's fine. But all right, I'm gonna make those changes. Power gen is going to go crazy. Something else I have considered for changing power gen, I use UMV superconductor base, right, in the slam. And making that is really slow because it uses dragon blood. And I have a giant batch of dragon blood, and I'm still crafting more. I have quite a bit in this crafting buffer, I think, to go. I requested just an absolute ton a long time ago. So this is just essentially passive. And I don't think this will keep up. Well, maybe it will, but I'm also going to be crafting more Mark V fusions, so that's going to eat into my dragon blood supply. And realistically, there's only 2 ways to upgrade this at this point. One of them is obviously much better than the other. One is to overclock, and there's not much space for me to do that, realistically. There's a few that are not 8 hatched yet, so I can upgrade those, but after that, like, that's kind of it. The other way to upgrade this is to upgrade the fusion casings. There is one more tier of fusion casing to go, the chaotic tier. This, however, needs chaotic cores, which in turn needs both large chaos fragments and the chaotic core schematic. The schematic is fine, I can craft this pretty easily, but the chaos fragments are a little more difficult. In fact, it's not totally obvious in NEI how you get these, but you get them from fighting the Chaos Guardian in the end. And this is the thing that can one-shot you in creative mode. Now, I do know you can dodge its attacks, and you don't really need to have, like, the perfect armor or whatever, but I have already done all the research for the Infinity armor, and I may as well get these quests done. Like, why not? So, I'm going to make myself a full set of Infinity armor as well, and maybe today might be the day we go fight the Chaos Guardian. But, real quick, before I do that, I finished crafting up all the materials needed for a second Eye of Harmony. So now, the bottom one is 877, and this second one that I'm building is going to be 777. And I think I'm going to set this one to just do the Overworld craft over and over, because I really would like to have a constant supply of stellar plasma mixture, because I'm starting to rely on that quite a bit. I haven't checked if it's power positive to do that if I leave it unoverclocked. I have a feeling it's not, but I'm not totally sure. I'll have to look into that. And also, I'm going to make a different automation than the one at the bottom. The one at the bottom is a little weird. It's kind of on demand, which is kind of silly because of how much stuff I need here. This top one is definitely going to be passive. I'll rethink the bottom one at a later date, but for now, I'm just going to leave it. But yeah, this top one is going to be passive, and it's just going to be doing the Overworld craft over and over and over forever. Okay, I've set up my automated Overworld Eye of Harmony. It's a little jank, and I think as soon as I update to 2.8, the fake crafting card will make this a lot nicer. Let me show you what I've done. So, there are 3 subnets here. There's the white, there's the red, which is the main net, and there's the fluix, which is fluid handling, I suppose. So the way this works, let's start with the main net, because it's the simplest. It takes in all the outputs directly. That's it. And it has a dual interface connected to a fluid storage bus, which supplies hydrogen and helium gas to the white subnet. The white subnet I'm going to call the crafting subnet, or the crafter. This has a fluid discretizer, energy source, terminal, because why not, a level maintainer, inside of which is an overworld request. I want to maintain 1, and the batch size is 1. This would be different if I was doing a different recipe than overworld, but this is fine for now. Crafting storage, of course, an interface, chest, and storage bus combo with a little bit of redstone logic. We'll come back to this. Over here, there's also a dual interface with the pattern for the overworld paper. The inputs are 1 billion hydrogen and 1 billion helium, which is what's required for the overworld craft. Those go into this fluid handling subnet. I don't need the cell workbench, but this is basically the same as the other Eye of Harmony. So there's a I/O port to more quickly input the fluids into the machine, and there's partition cells to hold the helium and the hydrogen. The receiving interface here has an advanced blocking card, and the sending interface is set to blocking mode with smart blocking off. So the way this works is the level maintainer is going to request 1 overworld paper. The gases are then put into these cells where they are MEIO ported into these input hatches. If I had humongous input hatches, this whole IO port business wouldn't really be necessary, but because I don't, it takes a long time to put the gases in, so I have this here. And once all the gas is in, the craft will start. I have it at 0 overclocks. It's not power positive, unfortunately, but I have it at 0 just because, it's fine. Now on the bottom of this Eye of Harmony, I have an activity detector cover, and the bottom face is set to strong output with the soldering iron. That gives you a signal here based on the progress of the machine. Specifically, we're in the recipe progress mode with normal. So the machine will output a power signal based on how far it is in its progress. That signal is the input of a comparator. This comparator compares against a potentiometer set to, I think it was 13. Then this red alloy wire comes on, and that leads to this chest that I was talking about before. This chest contains a single overworld paper, and this conduit is set to extract with the redstone. And it feeds into an interface, and this chest is also equipped with a storage bus that is stickied and set to overworld. I don't think I need to sticky it, but whatever. Better safe than sorry, I guess. Oh, and also this storage bus is set to insert only, so the system can't see that it has an overworld in this chest. Conceptually, what's happening here is the level maintainer will request a craft because it can't see the overworld, so it thinks it has 0, and it wants to maintain 1. So it puts in 1 batch of fluids into the fluid network. The fluids are input into the machine. The machine starts processing. Once it's near the end, this will output a signal. That signal is compared against a threshold amount, And when it's close enough to completion, we turn on this red alloy wire, which turns on the item conduit, which puts the overworld paper here into this interface, completing the craft. And because it has nowhere else to live, it just gets sent back into this chest through the storage bus. And then the system can't see it anymore. So it thinks, hey, I need another overworld paper, and then does the request again. And it repeats forever. Now this is going to cost me about 3.5 trillion EU per tick to leave this running all the time. That's not that much. I haven't overclocked it. If I did overclock it once or twice, that would be 4 or 16 times as much. But I think I could swing that too. Anyway, I'll leave it at 0 overclocks for now, and I'll see how my power situation is. I think it'll be fine. Now, on to Infinity Armor. There's some annoying stuff here for me, because I don't like magic. The Infinity Helmet needs a life-imbued helmet. This is actually fine. I have done all the research, so it's just a matter of crafting. This is fine. It needs blood-infused iron plates, and blood-infused iron is just iron in a blood altar. But the annoying ones are these wand foci. I need a time wand focus and a shield wand focus, and I don't know if they're consumed or not, so I'm just going to make one, and I'll just make the helmet and see if it's consumed. If it's not consumed, I can reuse them for the other parts. That would be very nice. But if it is consumed, then... ugh, annoying. This is just a couple of infusions though, so it shouldn't take too long to finish. I also need basically a whole new quantum suit, because I don't want to use my existing quantum suit for this, because I remember vaguely that the Infinity armor is not as good as the quantum armor for mobility, so I don't want to use up my existing armor to make this. I also need to make the full Icorium robes set. I also need to make a whole Draconic set. I need to make a whole Sanguine set, which is a binding ritual. This is actually pretty chill. I need a whole spacesuit. So that's another quest that needs to be done with some random alloy. And I need a Sigil of Divinity. I may need 4. Also unclear if this is consumed. I hope it's not, but it might be. This is quite an annoying looking infusion, but it has to be done. So honestly, most of this is fine. The most annoying part is going to be the Icorium robes and also the Sigil of Divinity. I even think the wand foci are probably okay. It's just infusion. But I think after this, I will truly be done with magic for good. This is like the 3rd time I've said that. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will fight the Chaos Guardian and set up chaotic fusion casings, as well as singularity crafting storage. We will also continue to craft the items required for Gorge upgrades in the background. See you next time.